I guess to a certain degree, when you get to know people year after year and you repeated visits and you not only interview them, but you have, meals with them and you know, you're at their homes, when you sit on front porches and talk to children who can no longer cite the alphabet or can't count to 10 anymore. Um, I remember a couple years ago, I had interviewed a woman who was in her 30s. And a couple hours later, I realized I had left my laptop in her home. So I contacted her and went back. It was late. It was like 9 o'clock at night. And she opened the door for me. And I mean, her face was red. And she was having heart palpitations. And I said, "Do you need me to take you to the hospital?" And in her 30s, and told me, "No, this happens every night. Heart problems. Never was sick, never had health issues before the water." Or people I've sat with that have Parkinson's after the water switch. People I've sat with that are now 40 for forces of nature. Some of the most badass activists at every protest, talking to the media, leading the charge against the government officials that poisoned them and were trying to cover it up. Now sick as a dog with cancer, young age. I mean, I could go down the list. I've been there so many times, and I hope there's some discussions behind the scenes right now, possibly about me writing a book or doing an updated documentary. But I guess I feel to a certain degree responsibility, not to fix it, but at least to keep it in the news and make sure people know it's not fixed and make sure people know it's still a crisis and still, crisis. I think the word crisis, people become numb to it. You just hear Flint water crisis and the word, there's no real feeling because the media doesn't cover it anymore. But when I say crisis, I mean urgent situation, a slow moving funeral procession, people dying. And as an insult to these residents, literally, the state of Michigan put out a bullshit number that only 12 people have died related to the Flint water crisis, which is basically as laughable as what you're seeing right now. Them saying, "Oh, we only have 100,000 cases, 100,000 people, 100,000 people with COVID," or "We only have 1 million people that died of COVID," which is laughable. Both are a lot more. But I found out today that a resident that I knew, that I interviewed a couple times, that I had talked to, that she died within the last couple days. So I went back to look at my last time interviewing her. And I realized in interviewing her, I realized when I looked at the interview, because it was from July of last year, so not even a year ago, I realized that there was probably 10 or 15 residents that showed up to the park, and we kind of went around and interviewed as many as we could. I realized that 3 of the people I interviewed a year ago, less than a year ago, died within the last year. And it just hit me. I mean, this is a slow moving funeral that nobody's showing up to. The media is not showing up to it. Media is actually covering it up. I got to fight and claw just to get outlets to publish some of my Flint investigative work. And I'm currently working on another investigative piece. And then when I publish it, it's almost like a little concerted cover up where none of the media will pick up story after story that I've broken. And meanwhile, well, I'll get to that later. But meanwhile, I have reason to believe that the misdemeanor charges that were filed against former Republican Governor Rick Snyder, filed by a Democratic Attorney General, Dana Nessel, I have reason to think that they're going to be dismissed soon. But I want to play some clips for you so you can let it sink in. And some of you Status Coup OGers, this interview I'm about to show you, it'll feel like it was just yesterday. It was July of last year when I was in Flint. Colin, let's play the first clip. This is 7 years later. You have people that don't live in Flint who just recite to us, oh no, the water's fixed there. Oh, things are better. The data shows that things are better. They don't live here. They certainly don't come. I don't live here, but I've talked to enough residents. I've seen in people's homes, not 6 years ago, a year ago, discolored water, smelly water. So you guys live here. Is the water just fine and dandy?
See, my arms are still breaking out.
Tell them about your brown water.
Yeah, the brown water coming out of there.
In your bathroom.
In the bathroom, and they had to unplug it, and it was just disgusting.
And on your arm, you were showing.
Yeah, my arms break out all the time.
From the water.
My skin's gonna just peel. I mean, it takes everything I've got to keep my skin on my bones from taking a shower and that shit.
And you're not talking about like residual scars from 6 years ago. You're talking about stuff you're getting now.
This is in the last 24 hours. My hair is falling out all over again, just like in 14. I mean, I've got, 3 freaking gallons of hair? My clothes are growing and I'm not?
And your clothes are getting holes in them again.
Yeah, and holes ate right through them. I mean, the pipe last spring that Wayne County replaced, a little piece of it, that nobody was even using it. It started leaking. When he took it out there, you can't see through it at all. It's that corroded over. I've got one of the other pipes plugged up. It ate a hole right through the smokestack. None of them pipes have been replaced except for 2011. And guess what? They have to be fucking replaced again. You ruined them.
And also, I hate to say it, I mean, look how much weight you've lost. Your health problems.
And can't gain it back. And constantly going to the doctor, doing the same thing. Okay, let's look down your throat. Okay, well, no, you've got all this congestion. You need to be on a round of antibiotics and yeast medicine and blah, 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 blah. When does it end?
She just died. Virginia Murphy. She just died. 69 years old. I remember when I met Virginia, I don't know when this was, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I couldn't help but look at her. I mean, you could see her bones. She was so skinny. I just spoke with somebody, a friend of hers today, who told me that she lost between 85 and 100 pounds after the water switch, hair falling out. I don't know exactly what she died of, but I know that she was healthy before that water switch. And she got so sick from the water, she lost nearly 100 pounds down to her bones. She was on a significant amount of pain medication. A lot of people don't realize this, but lead poisoning and heavy metal poisoning, it goes down to your muscles and your bones to the point where you literally have debilitating pain down to your bones. And she just died. I don't know what the exact cause of death is. Some Flint residents I spoke with told me, they're waiting for an autopsy, but I could tell you with 100% certainty that water killed her. Not right away. Took 8 years, but it killed her. Colin, let's play the next clip. So, Tony, you're the original Flintstone. You ran a mayoral campaign that was quite vibrant.
Well, with Juan and everybody.
Right.
Everybody here. I mean, you don't see very many people, but yeah, it was a way for me to get heard. That's all. I knew I wasn't going to win it, but it was a way for me to get heard.
So you've had health problems. Your wife has had health problems. I know your granddaughter has had issues. I wanted to ask you, because we always talk and you say, well, what are they doing after we keep breaking stories? they don't do anything.
Well, they haven't done nothing.
Right.
I mean, go all the way back to the media and that. They're not there for us. There's no one there for us. We're all here struggling, and nothing's being done. Nothing. I'm losing houses. My health is going to hell. I can't take it, man. I can't.
And what's your reaction? I know a lot of residents are probably not surprised, but what's your reaction to what we found out, which is the former governor, it seems like there was a coordinated attempt to delete potential evidence of crimes. Their phones mysteriously were erased. Their messages were mysteriously gone from the entire period Flint used the Flint River. And the governor himself refused to hand over his briefings or key documents to prosecutors for years. I don't know. It's kind of, to me, it's a pretty big bombshell, but apparently
It's really no news to us. Wouldn't you think that they'd get rid of it anyways? But here's the deal. Who else knew that? Kildee? Stabenow? Everybody else knew it? Come on, man. Who else knew it? I knew it. You knew it. We've been investigating, and nothing's come from it. Nothing. I mean, what do you expect? They're going to hide evidence, and now the media's not getting involved? Why isn't the media involved? Jesus Christ, we're dying here, man. We're dying.
Tony died in January. Tony Palladino, literally, when you say the word Flint, I think of Tony Palladino. Tony Palladino was basically the original Flintstone. If you were in Flint, any protest, Tony was on the front lines with a megaphone. Tony, that water, took his already, 9 out of 10 temper to a 14 out of 10, because heavy metal poisoning affects your mood and makes people volatile. Tony, I've sat in his home with his wife many, many times. Him saying, what can we do? What can we do? How do we fight back? The media's in on it. They won't cover it. They won't tell the truth. What can we do? My granddaughter's losing her hair still in the shower. This was a year ago. He just died in January. COVID. I don't know what caused what. A lot of people have died from COVID. But I can tell you what, the people of Flint, all ages, not just old people, extremely immunocompromised. And Tony had spots on his liver and other health problems related to the water. So does his wife. You talk to anyone, not anyone, but you talk to most of the most hardcore Flint activists. Tony Palladino kept a lot of people that wanted to give up and were tired of showing up at protests and were tired after year after year after year of begging for help. He kept a lot of people in the fight longer because he was a force. He died at 60. Let's play the next one, Colin.
And 6 months after the water switch, my throat started bothering me. So my family physician of 20-something years sent me to an ENT. I got a tumor on my vocal cord. She watched it for 4 years. She was just getting ready to remove it. And she went into scope again, and there was coloring. And I knew from the look of her face, she's the age of my oldest. My oldest is 40. I knew, because she's in her mid-30s. And I got up and hugged her, because she didn't want to say it was cancer. So I went for a biopsy. Long story short, it was aggressive throat cancer. January 4th, couldn't even identify the bacterias. And after radiation and everything, 6 months later, my lungs and my throat started bothering me again. I spent 3-4 weeks, and know that, after so much, the time frames might be a few days off, but it's not intentional. And after that, they released me from ICU and CCU straight home, and I told them, I can't breathe. Well, within 24 hours, I was being rushed by an ambulance to early and complete respiratory failure. They told me if I didn't allow them to do this, I'd be dead by morning. Then I got trached too high, and it will never heal now. And if scar tissue forms, then I have to be retrached. And I've been no energy. I literally have lived in my bedroom. I've lived in my home for a long time, but there's 14 stairs to the upstairs bathroom, 14 down. And someone didn't want to show this was me before the water. This was 3 years ago. Now look. Look at my face, the swelling. I'm talking good today, but that's the grace of God. I've lost everything. Now my property value that I've 42 years, I was emancipated at 14. Put myself through college. I didn't have no help, no privilege. I was beaten by my parents and thrown to the streets. And I fought for emancipation and raised my children with God. But where did it get me in the city of Flint? I might as well be dead. I have 13 grandkids from 2 to 20. I can't do anything with them. My life is over. I can't even enjoy my beautiful home because I can't do the 14 steps to use the bathroom unless I'll be 60 September 1st.
She died at the end of last year, a couple months after that interview. I think she died at 60 years old. That was the first time I met her, but she told me that was the first time she was actually outside in months, because her friends told her there was a reporter coming that wanted to talk to her. None of the reporters in Flint or Detroit or anywhere had given a damn to speak with her. All the media is sitting there in round tables pontificating about our sacred democracy and it's under attack. And we need to get to the bottom of January 6th, and we need to do something to stop it so our democracy will survive. What fucking democracy? A democracy where poor people, middle-class people, the very people that built this fucking country, Flint is where we built this country. Flint is where General Motors was born. Flint made car parts in World War II. And what did our democracy and the representatives of our democracy do for the fine people of Flint that built this country? They took a goddamn machete and ran over the city. And they sold Flint's jobs to Mexico, China, and wherever the fuck they could. You go to Flint now, it looks like Baghdad. No offense to Baghdad. Democracy. And these people have been voting for Democrats, and I'm not even going to get to the Republicans. You know what I think about Republicans. These people have been voting for Democrats, mayor, Congress, senators for 40 years. And what has it gotten them? Nothing. How many people know that when I went to Flint, by the way, to the people who like to say, oh, Jordan, you're not angry enough. You're not angry enough at the squad. And you're not angry enough. And you tell us to vote. I don't tell you who to vote for. And don't fucking lecture me on how angry I am. Maybe I'm very angry, but if I let it consume me every day, I would go too early. Trust me, I got plenty of anger. But how many people have to die in Flint? And how many people need to live in a slow-moving funeral process until they get universal health care in Flint? Huh? How many people? They don't have Medicare for all. Half the people I talk to basically are trying to avoid bankruptcy because they have to pay out of their own pocket for environmental doctors. You want to know why? Because heavy metal poisoning and bacteria poisoning, a regular internist is not going to deal with that. You need specialists. How many people need to slowly die and they are not counted in? It's the same exact thing going on with COVID, where hospitals are redefining the definition of a COVID patient, meaning if you go in there and you have COVID, you might not count as a COVID patient, and therefore you're not going to count as a COVID death. The state of Michigan has put out the laughable number that 12 people died from this. I was in Flint, I don't know, 2018. Almost, I mean, I can't even tell you how many blocks I went. And we knocked on doors and somebody wouldn't answer in this house. And the house next door, 2 houses over, somebody answered. And I said, hey, do you know when those folks over there are coming home? Or, oh, they died recently. Not a 90-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old. You think it's just normal that people in their 30s, 40s, 50s are just dying left and right in the city of Flint? Not from COVID, from heavy metal poisoning, bacteria contamination, which fucks up your nervous system, your parasympathetic system, your lymph system. I know people that have Parkinson's now. You know what was snuck into Obamacare? Medicare for all for the white folks of Libby, Montana, because Libby, Montana is 97% white. And you know what? They should have got it. But you know what? The people of Flint should get Medicare for all. You know what? They should get more from a settlement than enough money to buy a shitty used car, which is basically what the residents of Flint are getting from this settlement of $600 million when $200 million is going to the lawyers. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.